What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another SlabStox Live here on the SlabStox YouTube channel. Super pumped to be back here. Joined by Nate, as always, and we've got a big discussion today because yesterday on Sunday, put up a post on Instagram that asked the question, what do you think the number one reason modern basketball high-end cards are falling in price right now, in some cases tanking in price? And there were quite a bit of responses. The post got, I think, over 150 comments on it. I grabbed probably like 30 to 40 of them. I was scrolling through it. I could not believe that it just kept on reloading more and more and more. So I just grabbed a bunch of different takes from different people on the Instagram community, because I think it'd be a good discussion for all of you to join in on here on YouTube. And we'll have a discussion ourselves about the prices of these cards, possibly. And I'm sure a lot of people have ideas why the prices might be going down, general sense and more specified sense to the card market itself. But it will be quite a discussion today. And two of the cards we will be talking about is this LaMelo Ball Gold Prism Rookie at 10 and Zion Logo Man 1 of 1 from Flawless right there. Nate, how are you doing today?
Good. Excited to talk some modern basketball.
Yeah, we don't get around obviously too much to focusing on basketball specifically here on the SlabStox Live sometimes, but today we are. And there will be a little bit of discussion about like their performances and stuff, because it does have some stuff to do with it. But we'll jump more into that in a little bit. For those of you just joining, welcome here. I hope you all have a good time today. Feel free to drop any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts in the comments. And SkyDiv88, I think this is FG Def, says it's easy. All the money has flown into the soccer market for the World Cup hype. Well, we do have a little bit of discussion about that today too in the show. First up, last night on the PWCC Weekly Auction, there was actually two of the biggest cards that has sold yet on the weekly auction. A BBG 3.5 of the Mickey Mantle 1952 Tops for $52,800. And then that MJ Exquisite 03 of 100 PSA 9 also sold $45.6K. Now, Nate, I looked up to see, so I wanted to check out what like a PSA 3 and SGC 3 sold for of that same mantle.
Mm-hmm.
They both last sold around 85 grand. So 0.5 lower grade, $32,000 more. You can really see where the respect is in the vintage market. It does lie very evenly between PSA and SGC. BBG, half point higher grade, $32,000 less. I'm wondering if someone bought that card last night in hopes to maybe capitalize on a regrade.
That would be bold.
The only thing that I know,
but, I like it.
The only thing I know is, both PSA and SGC have guarantees on their grades, to where if they, grade something that happens to be fake, or if something's wrong with the card, or they damage it in the process, they'll guarantee the grade and give you a refund and the difference, all that different stuff. I know that BGS doesn't do that for multiple different people. I'm pretty sure there's nowhere on their website that does say that they do that. I've heard about people getting cards that they deem to be, or that they grade elsewhere, that are deemed to be trimmed or fake or whatever it is, and no recourse at all. So there would be maybe, now I'm not saying there's 100% concern here, but you never know. You buy that, you try to grade somewhere else, especially if you crack it and it's fake. That's a big risk. That's a huge risk to take. So that probably, I would say, is why there's a $33,000 price difference, 32. If there's not a guarantee on the grade, then there's a lot of risks there in general.
Yep.
All right. Well, I did have to say, though, we asked the audience, what would you rather have, the Mantle or the Jordan 03 Exquisite, and then also $7,200, which implied is that you spend it on cards, or you can't just go take $7,200 and stash it in savings, or buy a new car or something like that. And 67% so far voted for the Mantle. I'm taking that Jordan all day. Yeah, the Mantle's cool, but there's not too many times you can get an 03 Exquisite MJ and have some money left over to go buy something else. I would probably find the best Mantle I could, like 1956 Tops. Find the best Mantle I could from that year, 1952 Bowman, if I could fit a Mantle in for $7,200. I'm not sure what grade it would have to be to get that, but that'd be my choice. Nate, how about you?
Ooh, LeBron's out of the question. Yeah, I don't know. I have I could go either way.
Yeah,
with the other two.
I'm sure that the voting,
you give me one of those, I'm a happy guy.
I think that the voting will probably end up about 50% after we see it out a little bit more with more sample size. And then I got two soccer cards to cover here from the auction last night. $9,000 from the Mbappe Blue Laser PSA 10, 23% increase in 2 months, and then $432 on the Gio Reyna Refractor PSA 10 That's a 45% decrease in the last 2 months. Now, there's a lot of different things we're seeing here at the World Cup market. I got a comment today on one of the posts that I need to respond to on Instagram, but I'll respond here at least in person talking at first. Is that, it's like, what are you seeing with the World Cup in the market? Like, is a baseball card collector that was just genuinely interested in our sentiment on how the World Cup has maybe changed the market or not changed the market? This is what I've seen. So really, no matter what, if you had soccer cards that you bought 6 to 9 months ago, maybe somewhere in that range, just like most cards in 2022, if you bought 9 months ago, the prices are probably not higher than what they were then. However, if you did make the correct bets within the last 1 to 2 months on players that are playing well at the World Cup, like Mbappe, like Messi, like guys that are scoring like Mohamed Kudus that scored 2 goals to put Ghana in a good position to make it to the round of 16 today. Like those type of guys, over the last 1 to 2 months, there has been gains, there has been increases in these cards. But if you have someone like Gio Reyna about 2 months ago, hoping for a big outing for the United States, doesn't play in the first match, barely plays in the second, and doesn't really do too much.
Is that because of injury?
No, it was not. A lot of people, when they didn't see him coming into the first match, were like, oh, he's got to be injured, right? But after the game, Berhalter confirmed that there's, that wasn't because of injury. He said we needed size and speed or something like that, or strength and speed. And it's like, Jordan Morris is like an MLS player that people are like, why was he even on the roster? So a lot of people are very upset about that. But my point is that if, for players that aren't really doing a whole lot in the World Cup, yes, cards are also trending down in value for those. So in essence, there is excitement around the World Cup. There are cards increasing in price, as you can see here, like this Mohamed Kudus. He scored 2 goals, say, for Ghana. He's just 23 years old, playing Ajax in the Dutch league. And it was a massive moment. They beat Korea. It's actually the second biggest upset of the tournament so far via FIFA rankings, like the discrepancy in the rankings. Some people might say, well, Germany lost to Japan. Well, Japan's actually not that bad. Like, they're ranked like top 20, I'm pretty sure. And so Germany's ranked like 11. So it's just like a 9-place discrepancy. But Saudi Arabia and Argentina was the biggest one. It was like number 3 versus number like 55. But for Ghana, they're ranked like 65 right now. They're the youngest team in the World Cup. They just pulled off a huge upset over Korea and Heung-min Son. And they really put themselves in good position now if they have a good last match day and make the round of 16. And he's leading the charge there. And it's Prism White Sparkle. So for $175, which I actually have a couple of packs in front of me here for tomorrow, and I'll talk about that later. Ooh. But that's pretty good. I mean, the White Sparkle packs retailed at $80 on Panini's website. To pull a guy on Ghana, when you're trying to hoping to, pull maybe a player from Portugal, Argentina, one of the big nations, $175 ain't bad. That's over double the pack price just about, with one of the 3 cards. So that's cool. Now, obviously, Richarlison's 2 goals in the first match has done good stuff for his market. But other than the World Cup in general and sharing these things because of the World Cup, the reason why I have these graphics on the screen right now talking about these cards going up in value is because once we get past the next 2 slides, the discussion is going to turn pretty negative pretty quickly. So I want to get out of the way early saying there are cards going up in value. There's not just cards going down in value. It also depends on which players you're picking. Were you buying them when no one was really thinking about them? Are they having big moments? Are they really building onto their player profiles like Mohamed Kudus is doing, like Richarlison's doing at the World Cup? And I want to make sure that's out of the way because Jordan Love's another guy. Jordan Love came in last night for the Packers when we were live here on the YouTube channel. He had 2 nice drives. Couldn't finish the other drive in a touchdown, the second one, but Watson did help him on and take a past 60-some yards to the house. And over 600 individual items of Jordan Love sold between the marketplaces since yesterday, but that was up until this morning. That doesn't even count the rest of today. I'd imagine it's probably over 750 by now.
And yet not a single one sold by us.
Yeah, not a single one sold by us. That's true. We've talked for a couple months how we want to grab one. But it really does show that it does just take a little bit of excitement around someone to really get some action going. Now, Matt LaFleur did say as long as Rodgers can go and is healthy, he will play next week, which I disagree with myself. But either way, so the thing here is it's like, yes, his gold Prism Auto PSA 9 increased 20% and is up to $3,000 in 11 months. His Optic Bronze Auto PSA 9 increased almost 100% in just 1 month. If you didn't buy Jordan Love before he appeared yesterday, probably not the best idea to buy him today or this morning or late last night. Just sit back and relax and let people do their thing. Some people are going to make some money. Some people will have some cards in their collection. But it's pretty safe to say unless he does get a huge chance, which he might this year, I don't know. I feel like that he would be starting next week, Nate. Once you have Rodgers have a broken thumb and a possible oblique injury, if they were going to start him this year, they'd start him next week. I don't know what they'd be waiting for.
I would expect so too. I'm not 100% sure what the thought process is there. You're 4-8, right?
You got to see what you got.
Your quarterback's not healthy. Like, give Rodgers a week off and just see what happens with a full week of Love as the starting QB in practice and the starting QB in a game.
Yeah, I gotta say the same thing. And Magic, honestly, I'm not gonna sit here and say buy Jordan Love right now, but Magic said that optic might be a steal. It did increase $89 in just a month, but $189 for an optic, color auto on card PSA 9.
Non-numbered though.
What'd you say?
Non-numbered, right?
Non-numbered, but not like super printed to the moon like silver prisms or anything like that. It just seems like not the worst. Like if you're gonna like gamble on something, it doesn't seem like the worst buy now. Yeah, it could go back down in value. And then as for the basketball side, unlikely trenders. So Lauri Markkanen, I think all of us know this year like what he's done. He's pretty much had his career year so far on the Utah Jazz or over 500. But this Kaboom BGS 9.5 just sold for $360 in the last week. That's a 95% increase in 1 month. I'm sure compared to like a year ago, it's an even bigger increase. So Markkanen is trending up in value. He is kind of the player this year that's taking all the attention. And Mike White, I'm sure stuff selling Mike White too. I didn't even get to cover Mike White in today's IG post because I did want to get some basketball info out there. But Ivica Zubac, $50 here for his immaculate acetate RPA numbered out 40. It's 127% increase in 2 months. That means it was like $20 back then. Quite the increase for him. 31 points and 29 rebounds. That's insane.
So
and
amazing.
83% field goal percentage. That's the first time that player had that high of a field goal percentage with that stats since Shaq, I guess, in 04. Even K Love's 30-30 game. Because he's more of a shooter, he probably didn't drop 83% field goal percentage, which makes sense if you're shooting threes and everything. But wow, that's crazy. And then lastly, before we start to talk about these basketball cards and the reason why they're tanking and which cards have tanked, I want to bring up the fact that people still love prospecting. They absolutely love prospecting. You see right here, Jackson Churio's gold refractor auto out of 50.
Did you see the orange that sold 2 days later for less?
What did it go for, 9,600?
Yeah, something like that.
So I did see that one was listed on auction, but one actually sold now.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there is both initial release hype, and I'd even say gold refractor getting probably even more respect in the market today, Nate, with more people who are cross investing between sports, maybe getting interested in baseball too. I would have to say if someone's coming from football or basketball, they're probably more willing to spend even on a gold versus an orange. While I know baseball collectors love orange, it's a big parallel for baseball. I wouldn't be surprised, especially with this Milwaukee Brewers deal going on right there. Pretty nice card with the gold going through.
It's true.
So Nate, give me your 1 minute synopsis on this comparison to Bryce Harper gold auto selling for $10,200, the Jackson Churio 10,000. I know you talked about this morning's Daily Slab, but for those that didn't see it, give me a minute or two.
1 minute, okay, that's gonna be tough. I have a lot of thoughts, but we'll go with this. People love risk, and people love finding the next big thing. Ever since Juan Soto was, you could bought him for $10 and he became insane. It's been a whole different game in the Bowman prospect market, where everyone wants that next guy who's 18, who's going to make the league, right? As a 19-year-old, 20-year-old. And so that has gotten to a point where people are spending more and more money trying to get the next guy, but they fail to realize that at some point you're just spending a ton of money, like $10,000 on the next guy, but you're spending the same amount of money as the current guy. And so that's what's happening here. It's what happens with every single Bowman Chrome release, Jason Dominguez, right? And so on and so forth down the line. It happens every single year, and it will continue to happen to the point where, I love Jackson Churio. I would love to buy an auto, and I will not touch an auto of his right now because the prices are absurd. Will he make the majors? Yes. He's an 18-year-old in AA. He's guaranteed to make the majors. Is he guaranteed to be good? No. Is he guaranteed to make the majors? Yes. Somebody will give him a shot at some point. But the money being spent on him, he basically needs to become a Hall of Famer. And I would never bet that on any 18-year-old.
Will says, I'm the smart one of the two impulsive idiots who bought one of those two cards. I think we'll end up buying that exact Harper for the 10,200 and the 9,510. Nate, I went back and looked because when you said Juan Soto, that gave me an idea. It's like, hey, what if you did buy Juan Soto when Nate, at what point do you think that the hype around Soto as a prospect was similar to the hype around Churio right now when he was in AA?
Yeah, probably when he got called up to AA and then was still blowing up and then got called up to the majors straight from AA.
Sure. So
But
that'd be around.
those cards were like $200 at the time.
So his 9.5 gold auto in June of 2017, which is actually the summer before he ended up debuting, because I don't have anything close enough to when he debuted as then after. It was $835 for a 9.510. Now the market was a different beast back then. Obviously, as everything was way cheaper. But by the time that he got called up and started to do well in the majors, it increased to a $3,000 card. I would be interested to see, like, Nate, who would you put on an even playing field as Bryce Harper back in 2018? That's not Mike Trout, because Mike Trout's always had this like invincible value to him, right? That's like untouchable.
Yeah.
Like Mookie Betts.
Yeah, probably. But Mookie Betts wasn't a prospect at that point.
No, I know. I'm more looking to say, like, okay, so if Trio is this to Harper right now, what was Soto to Betts in 2018 when he actually like popped off?
Oh, yeah, okay. That's fair. I don't know.
So,
It's kind of tough because there's a lot of young guys that, like, we didn't see super, super, super young guys. Like, there was Trout and Harper, and then it was years and years and years, and then it was Soto and Acuna.
I guess my point is this: is at the exact same time that Soto ended up being $3,500 when he debuted and was doing well as a rookie, Mookie Betts at the exact same time was $3,500. So it took Soto to be doing it at an MLB level to like match maybe like the guy who's already been doing it, and Churio just auto release right here was already at it. So
yeah, I like that. I like that.
it's obviously not a perfect example, but it's just something to think about, And I have to say, Nate, you're like, this card will just be cheaper 3 months from now than it is right now. It just got released. Someone went big.
It takes one person to be insane.
Yeah.
But still, the problem is that you get a card like that goes for $10,000, and then every jabroni out there thinks his base card is like $1,000.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Let's see here. I mean, I can't blame the people for trying to get the money out released when they can, but
no,
right,
I don't blame them. I don't blame them either. I'm just saying that it really, because it's not a $10,000 card. We all know that. We all know that in 4 months, this is probably going to be like a $6,000 card. That's how it goes. One person overpaid. The orange being $9,250 or whatever kind of proves that, because at no point has there been a gold that like outsells a true orange like that. Regardless of people coming over, there's going to be Bowman collectors that are keyed in on this that are not going to be spending more for a gold than an orange, right?
Yeah.
And so it was just one guy, and it's unfortunate because then you start seeing refractors selling for $1,700-$1,800, and it's like, come on. That's so much risk. And I love Jackson Churio. You know how early I was on Jackson Churio when he was in extended spring training before he had a card. And even I would not touch him.
Yep. And really quick, Nate, to prove your point, Mookie Betts 2014 gold auto PSA 10, $21,000 most recent sale. And within 1 month of that, an orange sold for $35,000. So there was a comment here from Mike: have gold numbered first Bowman auto sold a bit better than orange despite the number discrepancy? The answer is no. Via that Mookie Betts, I'm sure we can go and pull multiple other examples the same way. But the point here is if the orange is already selling at 9,500, this is really like a $6,000 card, like Nick kind of pointed out, $5,000 card. And we'll see that probably pretty soon. All right. Thanks, Nate, for that.
Let it keep dropping. I might find myself in the ownership of a base at one point.
I love it. Before we move on,
sorry, that was much longer than 1 to 2 minutes.
No, it's all good information. It's all good information. I just want to make sure that you had an idea in your mind to keep it a little shorter. Mike Brown, last thing here before we pivot and go into basketball. What is Churio's ceiling, Nate?
Oh, I wouldn't put a ceiling on him. when you get somebody this young that moved that fast, that had more power than expected, that looked that good and drove the ball all different fields with that much authority. Yeah, did he have some swing and miss in his game, especially on pitches outside the zone, reaching for him? Sure, but he's also 18 in Double A. I would not put a ceiling on him. He could become anything from a disappointing regular to a perennial MVP, and I wouldn't be shocked.
So you're telling me that there's no ceiling on this $10,000 Bowman Chrome Gold?
Pretty much. I mean, it's risky, but if he plays as well as we think he could, it could pay off. But also, I don't know. So here's my problem, Aaron.
Oh
Is that,
boy.
like,
Oh boy. We got
real
him
quick,
going, everyone. We got him going.
real quick. So it seems like, we talked about this 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017 cards outside Aaron Judge don't really sell well. Like Trey Turner, been amazing, cards super cheap. Carlos
Yeah.
Correa, been amazing, cards super cheap. You can go up and down the list of guys who in that middle area have been cheap. Mookie Betts even, right?
Yeah.
And the farther we get away from the 2012, 2011 Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, it seems like people maybe are just getting bored with that type of stuff and just moving it into new stuff. And so you see those high prices. And I almost wonder if we're spending so much money on the Jackson Cheerios right out of release. Jason Dominguez is that right out of release that there isn't any room, because by the time they're really good, say perennial MVPs, maybe 25, 26, 27 years old, people have already gotten bored and moved on.
It's very possible. I mean, we're going to see that very, very realistically and hard with the 2021 quarterback situation. Maybe Trevor Lawrence survives it, but I think the rest we're going to see a very realistic look. Maybe not this year, but next year when 2023 products are coming out. How many people are going to care about Zach Wilson 2 years from now?
Yeah,
like none. All right, we are moving on. We are moving on to the basketball discussion. So here are a couple different cards that I looked at yesterday. These all four on the screen right here closed on Saturday night on Golden. So what we're looking at is 2 NTRPAs from the last 3 years and 2 Prism cards from the last 4 years. All of them are substantial, over 50% declines, and not just from the start of 2022. This is speaking anywhere between, either a 2-month time period or a 7-month time period. The Prism cards are over the last 7 months. The NTRPAs are over the last 2 months. LaMelo Ball Prism Gold decrease of $73,000, but actually it's probably true. 73%, probably like $73,000 or more decrease. It might even be at like $100,000 decrease on that card. Gold Prism BGS 9.5 is down to $51,600 with the most recent sale. He's been hurt 2 different times this season, has been playing a whole lot. So a lot of people, when I put up this card, were pointing to the fact that he has been injured. Now, Zion has been playing for most of this season. I know he said a few different games. He scored 32 points the other night, I think. But his BGS 8.5 NTRPA got cut in half in just 2 months with like the exact same patch. A lot of people like to point to the patch being different when stuff like that happens with NTRPAs, but it's like the exact same patch. The one on the right here, you've got the Jalen Green off 75 PSA 1010. This was the one that outsold an immaculate Giannis BGS 9.5 rookie patch auto like back in September, which I could not believe. Nate, could you believe this card sold for like 50 grand and the immaculate Giannis sold for like 45?
Well, after the whole Bryce Harper and Jackson Churio conversation, I very much can believe it.
It's just ridiculous, though. It's
It is
absolutely ridiculous. And this is numbered out 75. It's like that weird insert purple parallel 75th year anniversary that hasn't been here for all these other years of NT National Treasures. And it decreased 56% in 2 months with the most recent sale. The Luka. Now here, I put Luka in here for a very specific reason that you could kind of point to these 3 other guys and say, maybe they haven't met expectations. You know, LaMelo being hurt, Jalen Green, his team just being awful and probably not playing the best. And then Zion, just the hype was a lot coming back off of injury and hoping that he would turn into, top 5 NBA players. Not really there yet, obviously. But Luka Doncic has been a top 5 NBA player and still is a top 5 NBA player. And his team is terrible because his roster stinks. But the Blue Eyes PS,
that's such a bad team, such a bad offense.
It's garbage. I mean, when your supporting cast is Spencer Dinwiddie and Chris Wood, not
the ball movement is atrocious. Ugh.
Yeah, and Tim Hardaway and Dorian Finney-Smith or something like that. But this Luka, down to $24,000, 7-month decline. Yes, 7 months is a while ago. We know how much just the markets in the world has changed since then. The economy in the world has changed since then. But still, that is quite a bit. That's quite a high percentage to fall. And all 4 of these cards are in the exact same category: rare prism cards or National Treasures RPAs. Sometimes what you need to do is you need to look at social media, you need to look at different things that are getting talked about between different people and start to understand, when things are talked about at a very high capacity, that's probably an indication of when to sell or also when not to buy if you're prospectively looking to buy. Because I think for a long time, the thought was you buy any of these brands, any of these cards, they're safe forever. It doesn't matter what happens. But in reality, the buyer pool shrinks as more people buy and own those cards. And when they go to resell them and those buyers aren't there because they're the ones that want to buy it, there's not talking about anyone specifically. I'm just talking about it in general. These things are talked about in very big capacity. You see prices decline rather sharply when people already have some of those cards in their collection.
Hey, I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, Nate.
So I feel like what you're trying to get at is that people are bored, potentially, with Prism National Treasures.
Like you're saying in general, like the market is bored of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say so, but I don't think anyone's really going to disagree with me because it has been talked about ad nauseum for multiple years because of the Panini products that they put out. I'd say the rest of them are not that exciting. So
okay. So if they're bored, I'm trying to loop this back into baseball because it's what I know best. Do you think Bowman Chrome could get there at some point? And maybe it would be smart, say, if I had an option between take the Vlad Guerrero Jr. Bowman's best autos last night. Maybe not the most like right now the cream of the crop, but maybe that's the type of thing that you can get much cheaper than a Topps Chrome or a Bowman Chrome, and it might actually move because it's an interesting card, low numbered, and relatively cheap. And when people get bored of, say, Bowman Chrome or Topps Chrome, then you can see maybe some movement in yours as they go searching for other things that interest them.
I think the most important point you made was like the affordability of it. I think that's a huge aspect here is that when cards, I would say right now the market is so much bigger than 3 years ago, like so much bigger, the sheer size of it. And I think no one would disagree with me. To speak about the actual dollars and cents that are getting spent today versus 2 years ago, especially, it's way, way, way lower. The card that you just referenced of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has a way bigger amount of people that can actually go and buy that card than the $50,000 Vlad Guerrero Jr. gold auto. And it's not that expensive. It's more like a $15,000 card probably. But then those bigger Bowman Chrome cards, so the market, it won't change as much in a downward pattern because you have more people that can physically bid on those cards. Is I think the important part. When you have these type of cards, the percentage of people that can bid on this $26,000 Zion or $50,000 LaMelo is very small. And when you have the seller being one of the ones that had to play a part in getting it to that $150,000 price tag,
unless of course they pulled it.
Unless they pulled it, but remember these prices here are no matter what, Nate. You would have to have that same person want to go and get two. Like either the seller or someone has to go and want to get two. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm directly comparing two different cards changing in value over time. Either the person is reselling the card in 7 months or they already have it. So that bidder who bought it 7 months ago probably isn't going to go and buy a second one.
Yeah.
So my point is no matter what, you're still probably losing a pool of buyers. And that's why we're seeing these drastic changes, at least in my opinion. And we'll get into everyone else's opinions here very soon. There's a couple different cards to point out here. Two of them being the flawless RPAs of not RPAs, excuse me, just logo men rookies of John Morant and Zion. Now, both of these are one of ones. Both of them are game used from flawless. One's a BGS 9, one's a PSA 9. They sold on the exact same night, side by side, right next to each other. And the Jaw sold for $144,000 and the Zion for only $36,000.
Dude, give me the Zion all day.
Which is crazy. Now, John Morant, yeah, I mean, big player for the Grizzlies, has done things in the playoffs. Zion's been hurt for a full year and a half.
Did he just have a triple-double last night, too?
Ja?
Yeah.
I must have missed that. I've been researching so much on the World Cup, so I mean, you're probably right.
I think he did, but I also could be super wrong, and that might have been a different point guard, and I'm mixing them up. So don't quote me.
Well, you did bring up to me that Luka had triple-double, too, recently, but no, Ja did have a triple-double last night, so you were right.
My goodness.
The thing here is that funny enough, there actually was a direct sale to reference for the jaw. It sold as a raw card for like $116,000 a year and a half ago, which is actually pretty impressive. That's increased in value. I know that Jaw's done a lot of good things in the last year and a half. Zion, someone pointed out why is it red for Zion if there is no change, which is fair to say. But the big thing here is that his market in general, as we point out with like the NTRPA, has trended down a lot. We don't know how much percent because we can't compare it back to when it would have been available. I'm sure it would have sold for like over $100,000, but I feel like I remember this thing selling at one point. Just couldn't find the actual sale. Either way, I mean, 4 times more for the Jaw than the Zion. So it kind of proves that if you really aren't in the spotlight of the spotlight, man, it can really lead to something not very good for a card like that Zion right now. I mean, that is really crazy to see. While $36,000 is still a lot of money, to think that that card would ever sell for $36K, if you told me that like a year ago, I'd say you're nuts. I'd say you're absolutely nuts. But here it is.
Imagine like pulling that card today. Like you open, say that this, flawless. You open it, it's hitting on that box for years. You open it, you hit that, and you're like, that's $100,000, $200,000 card easy, and you get 36,000 for it. That'd be rough.
I know it's crazy. I'm trying to look up really quick the price of a flawless basketball box right now. $16,000, no, like $13,500. Imagine opening a box, pulling like one of the best possible cards and tripling your money. While tripling your money is awesome, the odds of pulling that is not very high. Obviously, it's already been pulled, but if it weren't to be pulled yet.
Oh, that is interesting. Wait, go back to that real quick. Corollo pointed out something I didn't really realize is that they've got the cards facing the different directions, BGS and PSA.
Yeah, they do. Now, while I agree that I think that the Zion's put in the wrong way, I don't know if it lead to a big difference. I think people just rather have the card in general if they're going to go for the card. But it is odd. Like, it is pretty odd to see that. All right, we're going to click through these relatively quickly. I just want to point out that it's not just these players who, especially these 3 on the left here, that aren't performing well or have been injured and stuff like that. You see LeBron auto numbered at 50, BGS 9.5, 10 rookie dropping 40% in value in the last 6 months, 45 grand down to like 25. Even John Morant too. Like I pointed out the flawless logo man. Well, I really didn't want to make it clear. It's not that way for all of his cards. Can you still hear me? Something just happened to my camera.
Oh, well,
yeah.
You're
gonna have to take.
I can hear you still, but the OBS camera.
Yeah, I see that. I'm gonna have to exit out of this if I want my camera.
Wait, no, you should just be able to change it.
No, I can't. It
happens to me from time to time.
Oh, just kidding. We're good.
Yeah,
you're right. I don't know why that happens. It's so odd.
Wait, can you say that one more time?
I said I don't know why that happens.
No, the thing you said before that.
I don't remember what I said before that.
You're right.
Oh, I actually didn't remember what I said before it though. Either way, my point here is that like NTRPA, once again, even a player like Ja, who many people still hold in way higher esteem than LaMelo and Zion, not safe. And this is from March until now, and that's like $128,000 decrease. And Nate, this is why I brought this up, because you said, "Okay, what if people are getting bored of Prism or NT?" And I want to point out, like Luka playing phenomenally, Revolution Galactic, super short print card, beautiful card in my opinion. This too, 20,000 down to 10,000, 50% slide in the last 6 months. So I was prepared for you to say that, Nate. What about the other cards, right? So yeah, it's not like that these other, but remember, this again is a card that is like $10,000 to $20,000, still a bidding pool. It's not very big. Versus if it was a cheaper card, maybe we see a different story. Stephen Curry, previous NBA champion. Warriors kind of stink right now, mostly not because of Curry. He's actually playing very well, I think.
At least they're 11-10 now.
Oh, they are 11-10?
Yeah.
All right, so they did turn around.
I mean, that's still a one game above 500 for a former NBA champ. I would still equate as stinks.
Oh, I agree.
If the Detroit Pistons were 11-10, I would tell you they rocked.
so basically you're telling me the Jazz at 12-10, they rock. But Curry's playing super well this year. I mean, he's averaging 31 points a game on 44% shooting from 3, 7 assists, 7 rebounds. Like, that's a great year. That's actually probably one of his better years of his career so far. We just need to see that team turn around, and obviously even this Curry rookie on card auto not doing too well, down 44%. Embiid, he had some great games in there. I know he's been hurt a little bit, but had some great games in there. $8,000 drop since the start of January for his NTRPA. Hear that word again, NTRPA. And another gold prism here of Anthony Edwards. Gold prism once again, 90,000 down to 50. But this one, I think a lot can be attributed to the expectations for the Wolves versus how they're doing right now. Like, this would not surprise me if even the economy was doing the same or moderately well, that this would at least still drop like 15 to 25%, somewhere in that range.
Even though he's just getting dragged down by Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's the same thing with Curry. I mean, Curry's playing great, but his teammates aren't. And then Giannis is the Prism Orange rookie numbered out of 60 BGS 9.5, another 50% drop in the last 8-ish months, that is. Before we get into talking about the rest of the show, meaning why people think the number one reason is that modern basketball cards have tanked, I have got here a quick little announcement that actually tomorrow is the last day to have your cards in our hands for the SGC submission. That's going out on November 30th, which means that you probably are too late for the November 30th submission. Otherwise, you'd have to, like, if you're on the West Coast, I guess you could run it there overnight and still get it here. But for the 12/15 submission, it's coming up quick. Still, like, it's about 2 weeks between submissions. Going to slabstox.com/grade to grade with us through SGC. Under 5 business days turnaround time from when they get the cards to when they're graded and shipped back to us is like 3 business days this time. $18 per card. Free auto grades, no upcharges. You know the deal. I just want to give a quick reminder that submission's coming up. And tonight, actually, in a few hours, doing like a 500 card reveal again. So please hop in that if you want to, around like 8 o'clock Central and 9 o'clock Central is probably when that will be going down. Big Bobby Wood Jr. grade with us too. That was one of the bigger baseball cards that's been great with us, which is pretty cool.
Sweet
Green
card.
Shimmer Auto. And that Jerry Rice is sick also. The 1998 Bowman's Best out of 100. Big card. All right, here we go. Time to read off some comments. We got various different amount of comments here to read off. I'll try to read most of them. If things seem the same, I'll just say, same thing as the other time. And I gotta point out Macus's comment here. So MJ PSA 10 from $700,000 to $150,000. This tells you everything. I saw that, yes, one of the MJ Fair PSA 10s did drop down to like 150K recently, I think on like Alt or something like that. The overhyped huge values of a year and a half ago or whenever that was are no more. That is for sure. And a big thing about that too, it has to do with supply. When people see cards go up a lot to where they can make money, they are so happy to sell as many off as they can within a range between that and what they paid. And there's probably a ton that got sold off between that amount, a ton of buyers that got satisfied. And now all those buyers probably don't need anymore. But Tatis Trader 2103 says, and this is for the question that why do you think, or what do you think the number one reason high-end modern basketball card values have tanked? Because $100,000 for a 21-year-old that has 9 more of the exact same card was way too high. Basketball and football prices for hype players was never sustainable. We got spoiled with 2018 and 19 rookies in all sports and started to believe every year there's generational players without really diving into the last 2 decades and realizing rookies rarely become all-timers. There's plenty of drafts you can look at between 2012 and 2017 or 16 and find that out.
Oh, yeah.
Or even 2000 or years before that.
That'd actually be kind of fun to do.
It would be. Detroit TANKED says, because the prices were inflated by pumpers that have likely exited stage left, the Ja sells design because Ja is a way better player. That's referencing the Flawless. So for the first part of that comment, people that were, happy to make their money when they could in the sports card industry and then probably want nothing to do with it after the money is not there to be made. A lot of that money is either gone or non-existent, or they are just, holding on to maybe some things that they have.
Wait, is gone and non-existent 2 different things?
They're the exact same thing. I just use 2 different ways to gone/non-existent. This would be a better way to put it.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, that's a very likely situation. Robin PC talks to the supply levels in the industry. People are dumping them. I mean, when you look up at every single auction, Nate, and you see multiple different Prism Golds and multiple different NTRPAs, does it make them seem special anymore? Like maybe they were a year ago when people were, holding on to them as card prices were climbing.
Yeah. I mean, we see it every week. Just covering PWCC, how many people, move their high-end cards you aren't expecting to see, and then all of a sudden you see it week after week after week of random 101 this week, random 101 next week, 20, 30 different styles of it. It's like, oh yeah. I mean, I can't even tell you. I know there's 1,200 Trevor Lawrence 101s, and that's just kind of hard to even like imagine. And then you start seeing 101s of Trevor Lawrence every week on different platforms. It's like, this card really isn't special.
Yeah, and I think that's not, that's no platform specific. That's more so like, hey, how many 101s did the manufacturer put out there? And when that realization starts to hit, and a lot of people just don't really like, there's no way, like, I'm a happy. I'm right now. I'm holding like a $50 Nuno Mendes on card rookie auto, numbered out of 30. Super cool card, like $50. Like, that's this type of stuff that I'd way rather look at. And there's not too many on card autos of him. Maybe like, I think like 150 between the entire set, versus like the 1,000 just one of ones of Trevor Lawrence. Like, that just makes him even less special, I think, as is. Which I think finding different opportunities, like cheaper cards that are actually rare on card autos of players that normally don't have them, is a much better way to maybe find ways to interact in the card market.
Yeah.
I got to shout out my guy, MJ23 KB24 cards here. I believe Eddie. If I messed up, Eddie or MJ23, I apologize. Can we get a Brandon Ingram card update? Or his price is dropping. I think a 10K card of Ingram just sold this past week. Can we get a post on that? Or Laurie cards, how are they doing? How about all the 2017 draft? How about Jason Tatum cards? He messaged me after this and said, nothing personal towards you. He's like, just want to make sure that people, we get some positivity in there too, which is a good thought. And that is why I led the actual stream off with the cards that are going up in value, because he is right. There is stuff that is still going up in value, but it just, not the overhyped stuff that can keep on getting hyped up, which is why you do have to actually do research. Right now, you actually have to look up stuff and find players. Like when you're talking about Bowman Chrome, like Nate, I wouldn't say when you asked me like, hey, should people be looking at other options? I think Bowman Chrome's always going to have a place in the market. It's just don't buy the ones that increased 5 times in like the last 2 years,
Yeah.
Find those new guys that no one is talking about right now.
Yeah, I agree.
311 says LeBron James predicted this. I'm not exactly sure what that's referring to. I don't remember if LeBron made a comment when like one of his exquisite RPA sold or something. I'm not sure. Stukit says speculation and talents and stats divided by injuries and hype. Oh, speculation times talent and stats divided by injuries and hype. I guess that there's just a imbalance of the equation, maybe pointing out. Oops. Sports car ETF. These are the cards we all knew would eventually come to reality. We haven't hit the bomb yet on these young guns. That's also pretty true. I think a lot of people probably made comments for the last like year and a half, Nate, like that this can't keep up. Like everyone looks at the MJs, the GOATs, even not the GOATs, but like the great all-time players, and saying how is Jalen Green selling for more than like Giannis, and eventually that balance shifts out. I can pretty much guarantee you that Giannis wouldn't sell for $25,000 less than it would 2 months ago of the immaculate RPA versus that Jalen Green that dropped a ton. And then Eric is a great point here too. I believe the huge Zion collectors have already amassed huge piles of high end. When you take the top 5 or 6 buyers out of the loop purchasing the big Zions, the price is going to go down drastically. Handful of buyers absolutely set the market for Zion. Now Ja is the hedge. I can speak to this from a personal level. I create an awesome Pierre Gasly collection. I'm very happy with it. It's sitting just over in the other room right now, and I love it and everything like that. But I'm not necessarily looking to just keep on building it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm looking to, grab different things I don't have yet. So eventually, like people who do collect certain players just get tapped out in how much money they want to spend on a certain player or driver. And then, once those buyers are removed from the market, like myself, some of those prices probably drop, which is true in a lot of cases. So you have to think about that when you're buying cards.
I gotta say, for somebody who loves England as much as you do, I'm surprised your favorite driver is French.
What do you think it would be, George Russell?
I don't know. I'm just surprised. I don't know where your allegiances lie anymore.
I mean, whoever said that my allegiances was solely with English people.
Me and Manny.
You and Manny, I see. Because Manny's upset I like Jude Bellingham more than Gavi. Philly flips. Ja over Zion. I mean, come on, I've been saying it since 2019. When you're healthy on the court, making things happen, making the playoffs, yeah, I'd say so. Sure. Yep.
Real quick, I was going to say, from a selfish standpoint,
okay,
personally, it is nice to see the Lauri Markkanens and stuff moving up in price, because those are cards I could afford. And these other cards that were like, I don't understand how they're so highly priced, the cards I could never afford, It's like kind of a breath of fresh air a little bit.
So in reality, the thing is I think what Eddie was trying to say with this comment is like, hey, you know, the people like you, the people like me, the people like most of the people in the stream are reading our content or reading our newsletter. It's like, make sure you cover the cards that are under $500, under $100 of increase in value, because it really does show people that like you can spend that $50 on Zubac or someone like him and make money on it. It doesn't, and maybe the all the red between all the high end stuff should not be a reason that someone like yourself or me, obviously not us, but like other people would consider like leaving the market because there's no money. It's just that the high end stuff people aren't buying like they were.
You see a lot of comments about the market's crashing. Well, the market I play in isn't isn't crashing. I can't afford a $20,000 card or a $2,000 card, you know, but a couple $100, you know, we've been doing just fine in those all along.
Yep. And like I know that Nuno Mendes just got hurt today, which stinks. Hopefully he's come back to around 16. But like if he did, you know, I buy this for $50 or whatever it was. If he did score a goal or if he did have a good tournament and then went to show more at the Champions League this year at PSG, that's a car that could go up to $75, $100 pretty easily. And that's a market we lived in 3 years ago, Nate, when we still loved it as much as we did today. Or
Right.
or a year ago, I should say. Or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I should really say. So that's a good comment as well. Garrett says Bowman Chrome over Panini products because Bowman Chrome is more scarce than any other product. Maybe not directly to Garrett's comment because I mean it depends what scarce is defined as. But Nate, I do really wonder. We're pointing out these cards: Prism Golds, National Treasures RPAs. Who's the manufacturer of those?
Panini.
Are they going to be making basketball cards in 3 years?
They will not be.
Right, and the Panini deal, that's not done. If an X is not on Panini and there's no real signs of it being confirmed or anything like that, and I wonder if those brands do actually go to die. Are people thinking, well, maybe 10 years from now, no one cares about the Prism Gold because it was around for 10 years, not 75 years like Topps?
Yeah. And
So
that's what always confused me about the continued love. Now that you've gotten me on a thing I'm passionate about here, is the what I consider stupid. I know a lot of people love it. 2014 Prism Soccer, first year Prism. 2012 first year Prism Basketball, where you have like some random Hall of Famer gold going for like $5,000. Irks me. Number one. Number two, I mean, that has to die, right? If Prism's not around and it's only been around for 10 years and you're going to have a lot of people that don't, you know, there's going to be kids that never grew up with Prism and old guys that couldn't have cared less about Prism that are collecting at the same time that are going to be like, there's a middle section of like 20 years of people that are like, oh yeah, Prism was great. And everyone else is not going to care.
Nate, it depends on what your definition of debt is. I mean, already I think we see a lot of cards that are worth a lot less than they once were for those first year, those brands, and people kind of have moved on. So I'd even say now,
well, by debt, I mean, I still see the Messi prices and the Ronaldo prices of colored 2014 stuff, and it still is like, it's still an 11th year card, 12th year card.
That's fair. I think we're a different ball game if you're comparing that to like MLB and NFL, because like that is really the intro of modern soccer cards. People actually collect the similar sets that there are now. I got a comment here from Valencia Fan TV. Why buy Mendes when you can buy Dani Alves rookies for the same price? Brazilian and Barcelona. I don't want to use the term legend, but he did play on, because I don't want to get lambasted for that. But he did. but Dani Alves did play on the multiple Champions League winning teams for Barcelona. The reason being is why Nate speaks about, you know, why is he buy Bowman Chrome prospects versus buying the vintage Hank Aaron or something like that for the same price, is that unfortunately, yeah, Nuno Mendes did pick up an injury today, but him playing live at 20 years old in the World Cup for Portugal, potentially making something happen for the first time in his career and for Portuguese national team, and building more fan bases. On-card autos, a sick card in my opinion. I love Topps Chrome, and also having a career with PSG. It's just like, yeah, I mean, maybe he never has the career Dani Alves has or even gets close to it. Probably not. But People are watching him. I'm watching him on TV. That means more to me than buying a guy who I never watched on TV. Yes, I wasn't watching soccer back then. I am a recent fan of the last 3.5 years, but that's the reason why is
Hey,
because
I don't know if you can see the
I
screen.
can. I can. I'm just trying to switch it right now.
Okay. And Bazooka Tom, I will still cherish it. Gladly.
Cherish what?
He said, Nate, and to think I just bought you a 25th year PSA 9 Brady insert for Christmas.
Did he buy you one?
No, it's a joke. It's a joke.
I was kind of hoping that he played like a white elephant gift on you or something like that.
That would be that. We should do a hobby white elephant thing where we each find just the worst graded card we graded personally in the last like 2 years and send it out.
I feel like everyone could pick something up for each of us that we've like grilled on over the last like couple of years and like buy something real dumb. More comments though. More comments. RMCF card says if Luka can't sustain values, that should tell you a lot. That is true. I mean, it does just take a lot more than stats, and it takes actually not. In reality, what this is all trying to say, summed up, is buying at the right time per player is everything. And we can't predict when that is, so I can't really like tell anyone like, oh, why do you buy Luka at that point? You know, it doesn't make any sense. I bought players at certain points I shouldn't have bought at certain points, and everyone's done it. But the point is buying it at the correct moment is everything. I mean, you won't know it until you either know that you're losing money or know you're making money, most likely. But take this opportunity, I'd say, not with like the 25 to 50 grand cards. I'm not talking about that. But like, you know, as prices are kind of stabilizing or falling, you know, in cards you want in your collection that you really enjoy, believe in, yada, 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 you might be able to scoop some for some decent amounts. Sports cards gold. I'm just going to read the comment, 2 words, Sleepy Joe. So there is some political reasonings behind that for the market. Cards in whiskey, they were overvalued to begin with. Why is LaMelo card worth $50,000 even right now? So that's a great point. I mean, in the first place,
yeah,
could just say 150 grand for LaMelo Gold Prism that looks the same as the Gold Prism Breakaway and yada, yada, yada. It's not the exact same thing. I know. Has a point. Fukery cards. All the millionaires buying these cards was just a flex to get some attention. The industry has turned into a comp war, which over time will drive the value of cards to nothing. I might not agree to nothing, but at least, you know, down it like we've seen, definitely. And that is very true, Nate. Everyone's trying to beat out the last sale. Everyone's trying to find a way to convert a sale, and when that happens, is keep dropping, right? We won't until we find a stabilization point when people don't need to go and take that car and sell it. Then maybe we see something different happen.
Yeah, ideally we just get back to 2018. We had a great time in 2018.
I think everyone would have a great time if we were in 2018. People are involved in the market would be able to buy cards for good values, be able to take those cards, and when their players actually might do something. Like the only reason why I should make money as Nuno Mendes is if he does something well for PSG or for Portugal. Shouldn't be for really many other reasons. I mean, if the market grows in value, then maybe more people are buying it, sure. But like that's not why I'm buying it. I'm not buying it because I think that more people just want random soccer players. You know, I'm buying it because I think he might do something. That's how it was, 2018 when you buy someone. You're hoping he does something so you can make 30%.
Forrest Whitley.
Exactly. It worked out. What?
I said, who still hasn't done anything?
I know, crazy. But that's why you have to sell when the money's there too.
Yep.
Do you even collect? Number one reason is these prices were never sustainable. These are still crazy prices for cards, which might even be true. 50K for LaMelo, you might look up and it might be 25K in 3 months. Eric says recession. Monk and Jamin says not all cards are going down. True, as we pointed out. Jeff Hoops, let's keep the hobby a hobby. I have to say, I love collecting cards. I've been in it for a long time as a hobby, but there is definitely multiple facets of the hobby and the industry. I don't think there's any reason why there can't be both a hobby, collecting, a business, and everyone kind of doing their part to bring it forward, regardless of what the aspect is.
I mean, show me a hobby that doesn't have businesses in it.
Yeah, no matter what.
Train collectors, there's a train shop down the road from my house.
Mm-hmm.
It's still businesses inside the hobby all over the place.
And the businesses help it grow too. Remember, like if there wasn't, it brings in more innovation, brings in more ability for companies to do different things to help collectors like Fanatics and Topps doing the buyback program. That's awesome. I think that's such a great idea. But Nate's right too there.
Also, one last thing on that is that I see a lot of people comment, let's keep the hobby a hobby. You can do that on an individual level. If it's a hobby for you, you don't have to sink thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars and feel like you have to make thousands upon thousands of dollars. You can still buy whatever you want to buy and sell when you want to sell, and make money or not. If it's a hobby, you shouldn't care.
And I'd say if it comes down to opening packs, I mean, you can still find packs to open. I know there's packs out there that afford, but it might not be Prism Hobby, but there's other stuff out there.
It's literally all I do with my my money. We set a budget every month, and I have X amount of dollars I can spend every month on whatever I want. And for like 3 straight months, I haven't bought anything but random wax to rip.
Needs that fix. He needs that fix.
And like, I'm like, I could buy Wanderer and grade them or this and that, but it's not as fun to me. I just enjoy ripping.
There you go.
And it's not like I just like having random cards.
Yeah, no,
like the Merlin, the Topps Merlin. I love having random numbered cards of random guys. I'm not concerned about like selling them ever.
Someone messaged me, and they hit a Liam Delap, the Manchester United rookie, purple at 15 out of a blaster. Nice card. It was Card Guy Cody, actually. Shout out Card Guy Cody. Double R Sports Card says, because free stimmy money is gone. Let's talk about that for once. I just hear people saying a bunch of other stuff. Never that. I would say a lot of people probably spend their stimulus money on cards that they got, like a Luka PSA 10. They call me Brick. When people understand what elastic and inelastic demand are and how it ties in the economic state of an economy, they'll know. More comments about the economy. Expectations for these cards were too high in the first place, and the players. Comes down to rarity. That gold isn't all that rare. Hobby and collectible said, I would actually make the counter argument that the non-rare stuff is all the random stuff that's been produced after the fact that the golds were made in 2012. All the breakaways and gold vinyls, all that stuff is the not rare stuff, in my opinion. Neither one of these players is good. Now Investments has LeBron James cards, so I guess it comes down to that point, the actual sports itself. And then there's multiple comments as well that pointed to crypto and free money, kind of that people are making in crypto and bringing over to cards that's not there anymore, which I would say is just a general thing. And I think someone else pointed out too that other people's investments just aren't doing as well, no matter if it's sports cards or stock market or crypto or real estate, whatever it is.
NFTs.
The money pool dries up, and when the money pool dries up, there's not as much money to put into your hobby or the market or the car market, whatever it is. And then DG Auctions has been doing this for 25 years. Never had there been people stupid enough to buy at these prices. I'd be a millionaire if so. Well, I think we have seen people become probably millionaires off of some of those $150,000 LaMelo golds and stuff. And then Big Buddy Sports Cards goes to the fact that players are playing as if they're getting stimulus during COVID. I guess part-time players, like a part-time job. Fans and coaches are on a roller coaster. Card collectors as well, because players aren't playing all the time. I don't know if that's hinted at like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George specifically. Pelicans are about to make a playoff run. Zero Time is very in on Zion. Says that the Zion should be way more than the Ja. And then lastly here, I want to point out that this is a card just to end the basketball deal. This card right here, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's done an immense amount of stuff to increase his overall market perception. This card is a very interesting thing to look at because of the fact that on the left side, Julian, I got to keep my USA jersey clean, man. If I wore it 2 days in a row, it maybe start smelling bad.
Get good luck.
Yeah, it's chilling over in the room. It'll be on tomorrow. Don't worry, Julian. Don't worry about it. So this Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, $10,000 a year ago. There was no sale for this 9.5 until November. So it skipped, 11 months of different sales it could have, while other NTRPA grades did sell, and now they've increased in price. If this was an actual graph that represented this card and the value change like day by day, there would be a huge divot here down into like August. Like this card probably would drop to like $4,000 or something, then bounce back up to 10 grand. But the point here is that you could be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You could literally flip your entire market perception a 180 and become a top 10 current stat output producer in the NBA. And from 1 year to 1 year, you would have the flash change of plus 1%. So in essence, I think that a lot of what comes down to this is just that people aren't spending the same amount that they were a year ago in basketball cards. There's really no other way to put it, like the most basic of what it is, and all the other factors that people commented kind of wrap up into that. Chris says, hot take, do not use the hobby as your primary source of income. I think at this point, it all just kind of depends on what you're doing. Obviously, people that build businesses, that's a different story. But Chris is probably mostly talking to people who are maybe like buying, selling, flipping cards, grading cards.
What about people that started hobby shops within the last 2 years?
If you're successful, you're successful. I think that, obviously some hobby shops should be phasing out. Just the nature of the beast when the market goes down and you can't pay the rent or whatever it might be. But I think if some people are in the right spots, like, we'll see what Fanatics does with hobby shops. But from all that we've heard publicly through interviews and stuff, is that they're doing a lot to help out hobby shops. I know Michael Rubin spoke at large about how he wants hobby shops to thrive when Fanatics is making cards. So if that's the case, I think we'll see a lot of it.
Case in point, they put their money where their mouth is, quite literally, with the MVP buyback.
They did. I can guarantee that shops are not losing thousands of dollars on random Topps Chrome cards walking in the door. That's awesome to see that they did something like that to get people to interact in the hobby. Let's see. There's a lot of different comments I just kind of want to bring up here. Peg Junk, Merlin, Best Lamb Soccer Cards. Ingloria says it's very simple. Sports cards are cyclical. Things happen at the right time. Things will continue to crash or fall. These are not investments. They are a hobby. And there's also one more thing to think is that, while this is a hobby that can produce income, have expectations that dollars you spend might not come back either ever or for a while. You kind of need to make sure expectations are in the right setting versus expecting you to buy something and flip it for 300%. I know people aren't expecting that, right now, but maybe a year ago, the expectation was that, and it's changed very quickly. Nate Will agrees with you. I hate to throw out cards and agree with Nate. I'd never paid $10K for a 2012 gold Larry Bird. Just dumb. When they bring back the retired players and put them in that first Prism set. Bazooka Tom says, Nate, I don't want your Kyle Lewis or Gavin Lux PSN big league rookies.
Too late, Tom. Already in the mail. I sent you all 20 of them.
That's hilarious.
Just kidding. I got them all sold.
Brooke brings up, this all comes down to what Fanatics does. The hobby's in their hands, and it's hopeful but scary at the same time. I would say it's hopeful as well. And yes, the manufacturers have so much to do with the hobby. Panini has done such a brutal job of pricing products and making products and quality and all that stuff. It's really hurt a lot of people in the market. And they really do have a huge say, just manufacturers and what goes on. And also right here, Ryan points out the same thing. The Panini production quality has been horrible the last few years. That might be a small factor along with other ones you two mentioned. It's true. When the major manufacturer of basketball and football cards, Nate, does not care about the multi-$1,000 products that they're pricing from a quality perspective, why should people hold those cards to high esteem? The brands, just like Select, we saw going downhill with how they're rolling that stuff out. So lots to think about, lots to digest. Make sure that you can always do your research. Always think about when's the right time to buy for yourself. I myself, not a big basketball card buyer or collector at all. Maybe a couple of cards here or there of a guy I like, but the same applies for all sports, by the way. This is not just basketball has dropped in value. We know that, but there's just lots of examples recently of cards that have. And Chris says, hot take, Keston Tiro will trade in, make the All-Star game when he's out of Milwaukee. That would really be painful.
That would stink. But also, I'd be happy for him.
I would be. And also my card stash, I'd finally be okay with party night. Last thing here before we end it, upcoming shows and whatnot. Tomorrow we have a massive event. USA plays Iran at 2 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Central time. We'll be live at 12 p.m. Central time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. I've got some Prism White Sparkle packs in my hands already. We'll have various 2022 Prism World Cup hobby breaks. And we'll be watching the game live while we are chilling and whatnot. And Andrew and Julian will be in the house with me. The whole SlabStox FC team will be here. Pretty excited about that. Nate, sorry you can't join us, but it'll be a fun time. And
I'll be there in spirit.
What do you say?
So I'll be there in spirit. I'll be watching.
Oh, yeah.
Watching on whatnot.
Oh, yeah. And very excited about Friday. I think this is tentatively on Friday. I got to make sure that the timing works and everything. But 12 p.m. Eastern time. We had some great, awesome, successful first 2 Pixar breaks last week. I'm going to be jumping in and doing some more. Here's what the cards look like. This is the Incredibles SSP. Super beautiful quality. When we talk about quality, that is way different than Panini. Those cards are spectacular, and I'm excited about that. If you want to learn about that, I won't waste everyone's time right now, but make sure to join me on Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern time, the first ever Pixar license set, basically every single movie from Toy Story up till Luca 2021. All right, Nate, anything else?
No, I thought we had a lot of good conversation today. And while there's a lot of scary numbers being thrown around, it also is nice to see the Lori Markkinens and guys like that are moving up in price, where it's like it gives me hope.
And remember, this type of stuff we're looking at on the screen. This is the interaction that kind of we're in and the people in the chat are in. Excuse me. Huge sneeze. Not the massive cars, which while we want those obviously to do well for the people that are buying and selling and everything like that, it's like if you are sitting here, don't let a LaMelo Ball gold prism going for 150K to 50K discourage you from like the next guy you might research that you want to spend whatever's within your means to maybe collect and then see if you can make some money to put in your new collection, something like that. That's the whole point here.
Correct.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. SlabStox Live, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Appreciate you all joining. We will see you on the next live stream, which is going to be Sunday here on YouTube. Actually, no, sorry. It's going to be in 3 hours or 2 hours. If you want to join me, SGC reveal in 2 hours, I'll see everyone here. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
See you guys.